I went back and watched Iron Man, and honestly, this movie has more personality than a lot of superhero movies coming out today. And that is kind of crazy because this movie is simple. It is not trying to explain multiverses, timelines, secret dimensions, or 15 different setup scenes for future movies. It is just saying, here is Tony Stark. He is rich, arrogant, funny, kind of a terrible person, and somehow you are still going to like him. Before I get into it, like and follow if you enjoy movie reviews, where we actually say what we think. So the movie is basically about Tony Stark, a billionaire weapons manufacturer who gets kidnapped and finds out that the weapons his company makes are being used by the exact people he thought he was fighting against. He builds a rough Iron Man suit in the cave to escape, comes back home, and slowly starts realizing that maybe being the cool rich weapons guy is not exactly the heroic life he thought it was. And that is why Iron Man works. The movie is not great because the villain is amazing. He is not. It is not great because the final fight is some masterpiece. It is not. Iron Man works because Tony Stark is interesting enough to carry the whole thing. The first thing that really works for me is Tony himself. Robert Downey Jr. does not play him like some clean superhero. He plays him like a guy who thinks every room belongs to him. In the beginning, he is joking with soldiers, flirting, showing off, dodging responsibility, and acting like consequences are something other people deal with. But then he gets thrown into that cave, and for the first time his money, his fame, and his attitude cannot save him. That cave section is still the best part of the movie for me because it is not just him building the suit, it is Tony finally being forced to look at what his life has actually created. When Yinsen tells him not to waste his life, that moment actually matters. It is not some random inspirational line. It sticks because Tony really was wasting his life. He was smart enough to change the world, and instead he was just selling bigger and better ways to blow it up. The second thing I love is how handmade the movie feels. I know that sounds weird for a superhero movie, but the Iron Man suit actually feels built. The first version is ugly, heavy, loud, and barely controlled. Then when Tony gets back home and starts testing the upgraded suit, the movie takes its time with it. He crashes into things. He hits the ceiling. He almost destroys his garage. He is not just suddenly perfect because the script needs him to be. That is the kind of stuff I miss in a lot of superhero movies now. The suit feels earned. The flying feels earned. Even the first time he fully takes off, it feels exciting because we watch him mess up first. It is not just CGI noise there's a process, but the one thing that does hold the movie back is the villain. Obadiah Stane is fine, Jeff Bridges does what he can, and I like the idea of the villain being someone from inside Tony's own company. That actually fits the story. But once he turns into Ironmonger, the movie becomes a little too basic. It is just Iron Man fighting a bigger, angrier Iron Man. It is not bad, but it is definitely the least interesting part of the movie. And real talk, the villain is not bad because the actor is bad. The villain is bad because Tony is just way more interesting than him. Every time the movie is about Tony dealing with guilt, ego, and responsibility, it works. Every time it becomes Big Metal Guy, fights bigger metal guy, it becomes a little less special. What I really like about Iron Man is that it understands one simple thing. If we do not care about Tony Stark, none of this matters. The suit can be cool, the action can be fun, the explosions can be big, but the movie lives or dies on Tony. And luckily, Tony is entertaining from the first scene. He is not a perfect person, honestly, he is kind of annoying, but that is what makes him fun. He has an ego the size of the building he lives in, but you can still see the human side under all of that. And by the time he says, "I am Iron Man," it does not just feel like a cool line, it feels like the only ending this version of Tony Stark would ever accept. Of course, this guy is not going to hide behind a secret identity. That would be way too humble for him. So yeah, Iron Man is still one of the best Marvel origin movies. Not because it has the best action, not because it has the best villain, but because it gets the main character completely right. For me, Iron Man is an 8.2 out of 10. It is worth watching, and honestly, it is still one of the cleanest examples of how to introduce a superhero without overcomplicating everything. That's my review. Let me know what you think of Iron Man, and if you like movie reviews that do not sound like a press release, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe.